I don't want to get into the stats just yet. I kind of want like general vibe, general feel of both of these teams for you. Like starting with, we'll just go with Kansas City first, man. Like I want to know the journey that you went on with this team this year, because I think a lot of the discussion about them was, they were disappointing this year. This is one of the narrative is this is the worst Chiefs team to get into the Super Bowl. But I don't know, what is that true, or is that like just, hey, is it a different group?
It's a different group. I think the people weren't ready for this defense to take a hold. The Spagnuolo defense. I think the underlying signs were there last year. After their bye week last year, they became kind of like a top 12-ish defense, as opposed to usually under Spagnuolo, with Mahomes there, it's been like bottom 10 and everything. So it's just a reconfiguring of the team, and it makes sense with the team makeup. They got rid of Tyreek Hill, and they spent all the resources on defense, and that's why the defense improved with a really good defensive coordinator. I think Travis Kelce was like 75% this year. At first, throughout the year, I was like, oh, he's 90%, and then every week I was like, he's 85%.
Yeah, keeps taking that down.
And then back in the playoffs, now he's 100% again, so look at that. I think some of the receiver woes were expected, just looking at the play experience from rookies and second-year players, and whatever Kadarius Toney is a constant rookie. I think the thing that was glossed over a lot was their lack of run game, and which I'll talk about plenty on the show.
Good. Yes. That is like the one thing I wanted to pick your brain about the most.
And I've been trying to really pick out what exactly it was, and really it was just players not playing well. Just the guys that were expected to be good players, like a Trey Smith at right guard, was just playing replacement level as opposed to a good player, and that matters especially when you have a new tackle on either side. So, but the thing was, no matter what, even though it felt the struggles and they had a lot of penalties and drops and everything, all the underlying stats, this is like a top 6 offense, top 7 offense, give or take, with a bad run game. And now the run game's kind of coming to fruition. Travis Kelce's playing like 95% Travis Kelce, and the one guy I haven't mentioned so far is Patrick Mahomes, who is still Patrick Mahomes, and still, I think, really, to me, he's already the GOAT, which I know is kind of controversial a little bit with Brady, but it's like he's there already to me, and that's how he played this year. It's one of the most impressive performances was this year by Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, if he wins this game, then he's going to be he's going to be at least on pace. Everybody will have to agree that he is on pace to be that guy. And we have what is his arm going to fall off or something like that? I don't think so. So, look, I think that's a great way to say it. Obviously, as a fantasy show, we end up talking a lot about the receivers every single week and the struggles there. But the whole time I'm with you that this felt like a team that was growing in other areas, just not the areas that most of the football universe and especially the fantasy universe is focused on, which is all right, I drafted Sky Moore to be that guy. And I was really hoping Sky Moore was going to take a step this year, and unfortunately, that just didn't happen. And then Rashee Rice, where were you at with Rashee Rice as a prospect? Because to me, I thought, and I actually talked about this with him last night at opening night, was I felt like at SMU the final year he was kind of playing as an X receiver running go routes,
ball winner,
a ball winner, and not the best ball winner either, by the way. But it's a lot of go routes and a lot of hitch routes and all that stuff. And then you see him right away in this season, and he's
a yak king.
Yeah, he's not doing any of that, and he's just running crossing routes. And man, you never. And again, this is just a hole in my process, but. I charted 8 games, I think 7-8 games of him, and obviously what I found out was he was injured for most of those games. But still, even the role part of it is really different than what we've seen in the NFL.
Totally different. I liked him, but I had a late second, early third round grade on him.
Way better than me, man. So
I liked him, but what you said, completely different than what I expected to be. I knew he was explosive. You could see jumping and creating some of those. I called him a wild horse, which was fitting because he was an SMU Mustang.
That's a great way to say it.
And he was. It was just, you could still see it. But how explosive he is with the ball in his hands, he is, I think, truly special. He gets north in a hurry and gets those 5 yards when most guys are at 2 yards, or 10 yards when guys are at 5 yards. And so, I'm with you. Totally different than what I expected him. I knew there's some explosiveness there, but I didn't know it was like this. I didn't know he could generate all this. And the injury stuff, too, I'm just with you. I learned that later. I did like him, but I think his ceiling is even higher than maybe I even expected because of the growth he's already shown this season. Even if he's average at best with the route running, average at best with feel, there's glimpses, and it's ooh, this is good. Yeah. That's good. It's better than, and not to knock him again, but a guy like Toney, where you see flashes, but then you see 12 negative plays in a row. It's Rice, it's those negative plays go from 12 to 2 to 1. And it's okay, this is something we can work with.
Right. And again, he's a rookie. He's not in. This is Toney's third year?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, yes. This is his third year. It feels like he's been in the league forever, man. But yeah.
He was at Florida forever. It's like
interesting player. But no, I think Rashee Rice actually just is very emblematic of this team in general because it was kind of that slow burn. It was the guy that wasn't really expected. Again, I know all offseason the talk was like about Sky Moore and where he was going to fit in. And, MVS just out there running not every route because nobody runs every route on this offense in terms of like a player participation standpoint. But he's the guy that's running the most routes and he's a very one-trick pony, So
he has a role.
He has a role. Yeah, he has a role. He's very emphasizing this offense.
It's like in basketball, it's the guy that sets picks. Like he's that version of it. Take the top off, go out there, and create some space.
And the Tony Bros were out in full force, letting you know about his, yards per snap and all that stuff. So Rashee Rice kind of snuck up on you, and that tends to happen with these rookie receivers sometimes. It's always that slow burn. But again, this whole team has felt like a little bit of a slow burn.
Absolutely.
And we'll get more into all that when we talk about the stats for the Chiefs. But I want to switch to the 49ers here. To me, I was really excited about this offense, and I've been impressed. Yeah. I mean, I've been exactly what I thought I would be, which is I was very blown away all season long. Again, just kind of general thoughts about this team and how they got here.
Yeah, I was optimistic about the offense, and they exceeded expectations. I thought they'd be very good, top 5-ish, and they are more like top 20-ish in the last 20 years.
Yes.
They are a truly recent memory historic offense as far as efficiency and explosive plays, which means you're pretty good at stuff. So Purdy is Purdy. I'm not getting into the MVP talk or anything like that, but like all those discussions, debates. But he does bring, and this has been just ad nauseum, but he does bring the scrambling element, the extended play element, and he pushes the ball. And yes, he has those chaotic moments, but there is something to it that like he has a short memory. Yeah. He makes a dumb play and he's going to do it next play up. And there's something to that. But okay, getting him out of the way. Then you got the Avengers around him, as people like to say. Kittle's fantastic. Aiyuk has leveled up as a guy I was lower on. It's still one of the things I was lower on when he came into the league. Ended up at the perfect spot with the 49ers with Shanahan. Shanahan kind of made him grow as a player. And now you see the dividends being paid because he is, I think, turning into a top 10 receiver. He was a second-team All-Pro for me after this season. The underlying numbers, I'm sure you're very aware of all of them through the roof. But just,
I got a tattoo, actually.
Aiyuk, PPR. Yeah. But I think just him as a football player, just actually on field, him as a blocker, him with the details, all those things, he's not only just like average, he's very good. And now I just think he's just legitimate, like one of the better receivers in the league, which is fantastic because of how he was explosive coming out of Arizona State, but just how he was raw. He run like two routes. It was like slants and like ghosts. That was like it.
He was legitimately, and I say this as a guy that has been bullish on Aiyuk since his rookie year. I think coming into the league, he was extremely raw as a route runner, like you said, and especially like against press, it was low key, just not a lot of reps, but he didn't know what he was doing. He was lost, and now he's like, again, I'm with you in terms of just ability to beat press man coverage. He's maybe top 5 receiver in the NFL. Yeah. I mean, that guy, I can't say enough good things about Brandon Aiyuk and just in general, this offense, like, how do you stop him? Where do you focus? Obviously, we'll talk about that when we get into this, but on the other side of the ball, that's been a little bit of I would say a less exciting journey, but a journey nonetheless.
I've been trying to wrap my arms around the 49ers defense because at times they feel fantastic and they feel good, and at times I'm like, what are you guys doing? Where's Bosa going? Where's Chase Young going? I still think they have a fantastic pass rush. They are kind of a boom-bust front as far as pass rush and in the run game, where they're going to try and create an explosive sack or a QB hit, a forced fumble, anything, PBU. But I think, Fred Warner is still Fred Warner. Dre Greenlaw is a very good number 2 linebacker. They erase a lot, and that's still true.
Yeah.
I think still you can get after them in the run game. We'll talk about that in a sec, but they could still squeeze you. I always kind of refer to them as like an anaconda defense where it's just tight. Everything just feels tight. Remember Knocked Up? Just tight.
Yeah.
That's how this defense feels a little bit. But they just make you nickel and dime them, and even when you try it, you only get 3-5 chances to like really push it over the top. You better hit them because they're going to squeeze everything else. So they still have that element. I still think they are missing D'Amico Ryans a little bit. They're missing maybe a little bit of Jimmy Ward, even though he's been banged up. And I know Hufanga's got hurt early in the year too, their safety. But I think this defense still is good, but they do have holes that you can attack, which teams have shown recently, especially in the playoffs.